I need to practice making exposures in sand dunes. And this is the closest I can get to a sand dune, which is the sandy beach. My plan is to go to the sand dunes at Anna Bay, which is north of Newcastle, which is about a 4-hour trip. I went there twice before and both times managed to really get bad exposures. It was a combination of things. I'm not quite sure why. Mixture of inexperience and mistakes. I don't want to do that again because it's about 4 hours up, it's about 4 hours back. Sand dunes are such that they only really look good in oblique light, which is either early in the morning or late at night. So you've got to be, if you want to get the early morning, you're going to have to start driving at about 2 AM when you should be sleeping. Anyway, so I'm here to test out what the best metering method is. And it's not as clear cut as you'd think. I've developed a workflow recently for most of my other photography where I'm doing spot metering of shadows. So you identify the darkest point in the frame, you put that on zone 3, all good. With a lot of sand dune pictures like this, the beach here, don't just look at the sand and the sky. There is no shadow, or if there is shadow, it's just the tiny shadows in the footprints. There's no really an easy way of metering the shadows, which suggests that an incident light meter may be better. So that's but incident depends on whether you've got the sun in front of you or whether you've got the sun behind you. So I'll be doing quite a few test exposures today. I came down last week and I did a walk around thinking about how I was going to do this. And one of the things that I concluded might be possibility is to meter my own shadow for zone 3. So I'll be testing that. So I will be comparing incident meter reading with spot meter reading. Well, let's go to spot meter reading, right? Spot meter reading, I can do a couple of things. Reflected light meter reading. I can meter the zone 5, which is the basic reading, which is, in other words, get an average. That isn't going to work. It's either going to be thrown out by the blue sky or the white sand, so not going to work. Meter for the shadows, and I know roughly where zone 3 is, gets me good exposures. Or meter for the highlights, but here's the thing: where am I going to put in the frame here? You can see that I've got 2 different coloured sand. The wet sand's a lot darker than the white sand. That wet sand would probably be zone 5, zone 6. The white sand would be zone 7, zone 8. So I'm going to have to make some exposures with spot meter reading, with different reflected readings and different zone placements. So let's see what's happening here. I've got to get my head into it. I'm not trying to take pictures of people here or anything like that. So I'm taking it nice and easy. I'll use the hood today. This lens is This is the 250 Fujinon. This needs the back to be extended a bit, about halfway. Isn't that nice? This is the Toyo 45, of course. Okay. I've got a lot of foreground, so I'm going to drop the lens down a bit there. This isn't a fancy picture, I'm just getting it. Where are we? I'm going to focus on that stormwater vent there. Okay. I should show you what I'm taking a picture of. Quick and dirty picture there, what I'm taking. Oh, that guy's just there, okay. Well, that might be handy. The guy just moved into the picture. I can see how it's going to go. Now, incident meter readings. I'm using Fomapan 100, so the first thing I do is I make sure my meter's on Fomapan 100. Second thing I do is I decide what filter, lens hood. Lens hood, lens hood, lens hood, lens hood, lens hood. Now, so I take my meter reading. You face the camera. And 130 f32, look at that. One. Now, let's compare that with a Spotmeter reading. So I'm going to meter my shadow. And it's 13. Well, there you go. EV13 goes to on zone 5, put that to zone 3. I end up with 130 f32. I don't need to take that picture, do I? I'm now going to turn the camera around the other way. So it's backlit. Let's see what happens now. See what happens now. There's a guy perched. There's a gentleman sitting there. And with a bit of luck, they might not move for me. They might stay there for me. I'm going to focus on them. Oh, it's about the same focus that I had for the previous one. There we go. So, let's see what my meter reading says now. Now we have to ask, should it be the same? Should it be the same? No, it's not. It's 2 stops difference. EV13. Oh, not. EV13. And EV13 goes to 1/8 F32. Instead of backlit. Okay, let's take that picture and see how we go. Okay, so the next question is, how do I meter my shadow with them? Okay, let's do some metering. Ah, here we go. $12 on F, there we go. 1, 2. It goes to a 15th F32. Strike that, so 15th F32. Just 1 stop difference. Yep, let's do that. Yes, reflected shadow. Okay, next is most of the time I'm going to be shooting backlit or something like this, right? So let's meter highlights. Okay, I'm metering the sand all the way around, and it is 15 2/3, 15 1/2. Okay, as I turn around, it gets up to 16. That makes sense because there's less shadow. So, if I meter that, 15 1/2, what zone am I going to put that on? I'm going to put that on zone 567, zone 7. 15 1/2. Now I can't do half stops on shutter speed, so I'm going to go to 1/8 of a second. No, 1/15, yeah, 1/8 of a second f45 32. See that? 1/8 of a second f45 32. See how that goes. I'm going to take another one, put that on zone 8, so that'll be 1. I need to give it more space, 1/4 of a second. F32 45, zone 8. I'm going to go back to my original shot. I'm not even going to bother to focus on this. Let's see what I get now. 16. It's a half a stop difference. Zone 6, zone 7 goes to 1/15 of 32. 1/15 of 32. These numbers are very close, aren't they? Zone 7. That's it. That'll do. Beauty. That went quick. All of the sheets of film were processed in the same tank with the same chemistry at the same time. All of them were camera scanned and processed with Lightroom and Negative Lab Pro using the linear standard profile and plus 40 clarity with no other adjustments or editing. One of the most satisfying outcomes of the test was having the incident meter reading and the zone 3 shadow spot meter reading both end up at the same exposure. That's the exposure that I'm going to be using as the benchmark for all of the rest of this. To some extent, how the negatives look doesn't matter. It's how the inverted image appears, and here we have all 6 of them on the same screen at the same time, and from what you see here, you'd have to say every single one of them's fine. When you see the negatives though, you can see that there are quite a few density differences, and the incident spot meter reading one, the first exposure that I did, turns out to be the least exposure. That's in the top left hand corner there. I've marked that plus or minus 0, and then each of the other negatives there I've marked with how it was metered and how the exposure differs from the first exposure there. The densest one was the one that I placed on zone 8, which I expected to be. I thought zone 8 was too much. I thought that zone 7 was probably appropriate. And if you look at the one that I put on zone 7 with the spot meter reading, it's only half a stop more than the base one. Judging from these negatives here, we could say that the incident reading or a spot meter reading on zone 3 is very equivalent to a spot meter reading putting it on zone 7, with the caveat that it's difficult finding a shadow area to meter on, and it's difficult when placing your zone 7 finding that, well, it's easy to find something that's bright, but if you've got dark sand and light sand, there may be a difference Having said that, the Zone 7 one was half a stop more exposed than the first one, which I estimated was overexposed by half a stop, so it's 1 stop more, so there's probably enough latitude in there that I can just meter the sand. So I think when I go to the sand dunes, if it's heavily backlit, I will probably do an incident meter reading and then adjust somewhere between 0 and 1 stop additional exposure, depending on how backlit it is. Yeah, okay, I want to go up there now and to test it out.